Hey guys, welcome to Goose and Blur's YouTube channel. My name is Gus. In this first Photoshop tutorial, I'm gonna show you how to remove objects and unwanted people from your pictures by using selection tools and masking techniques. So, okay, let's get started. So you all have sometimes a picture in which you have people here and here that you really don't want in your picture. So what we're gonna do today is we're gonna go from this and we're gonna end up with something like this. Okay, this is very simple, this is very basic. It doesn't require any special stuff, or it doesn't require you to buy anything from the internet. So the first thing you need, let's bring a picture in Photoshop, and we can just use whatever picture you have, might do the trick. So give me a second here, let me go to my pictures and let me find something that we can use. Well, I already have this picture, so we're gonna use that. Sorry about that. Okay, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna open with Photoshop. And the reason why we do this instead of dragging is because we wanna mess with the picture first in Camera Raw. So depending on the version you have of Photoshop, this little window might come out if you bring a new picture to Photoshop. So basically this is your basic editing technique. So we're gonna mess up a little bit with this by bringing down the highlights, doing shadows a little bit lower, the whites higher, and the blacks a little bit lower, and bump the clarity up. Okay, so I'm happy with that. So now we're gonna hit OK. Now we have our picture. Now the second thing we're gonna do, and this is very important, you always want to do this when working in Photoshop, is duplicate your first layer. This layer is our background, so we don't really want to do anything to this, because by doing it we won't be able to come back, right? If we make a mistake or something, we cannot go back. So let's duplicate it. Right click and duplicate layer. You just click OK, and now you have a copy. We can hide this, we don't really need it. And now let's get started. Okay, so these are your basic selection tools. You have the rectangular, elliptical. These two you might use a lot. The other two, we're not gonna talk about them right now, because really right now we're not gonna use them. Then you have this is amazing. Here you have your lasso and your polygonal and lasso tool. So these two we're gonna use a lot, and what these two does is, like, let's take the lasso tool for example. This is like basically a pen. You just start clicking and you're gonna draw shapes around things that you want to select, and then it makes the selection, right? The difference between this one and the polygonal is that the polygonal you select by clicking, and it's in more like a straight way. So you make one click, and right now I'm not holding any button, I'm just moving the mouse around, and in order to go to another point I have to click again, so I can make more like specific shapes, if you may, like, yeah. So basically that's the difference between those. Then we have our quick selection tool. This is amazing. Like, this one is the one that probably most people know how to use, because it's very simple and it's really quick to select things with this. But we are not going to use this one right now. Right now we're gonna use the lasso tool. Okay, so with the lasso tool we're gonna kind of draw around the people we want to remove from the picture, just like so. Okay, I'm kind of happy with that. We could do better actually. Let's try again. And now the trick here is not to go too close to the subject, because if you do that you don't leave enough space to Photoshop to work with. So now what's gonna happen is we're gonna use a fill technique that it's called content aware. And what that does is that Photoshop takes away the pixels that are selected here, and it fills them with some other pixels from around this area. So it will look like it's not gonna look natural. Sometimes Photoshop do a good job, sometimes it doesn't. It depends. Like, sometimes you have to do it a lot of times in a row, so until you get something you like. But in this case, let's see what happens. So we're gonna do this by hitting, if you're using a Mac, you're gonna hit Shift and Delete. If you're in a PC, it's the same, just Shift Backspace, and you're gonna get this little box. Okay, so this is your fill menu. Here you can fill your selection with these contents that are foreground color, background color, color, black, white, patterns, and so on. Right now we're gonna focus in content aware. And you're not gonna mess with any of this. This is just like technical stuff that you really don't need to worry about. I've never messed with this, so it really makes no sense to worry about this. So let's just click OK and see what happens. And there you go. Okay, so this is not amazing, but it's good. I can work with this. Now you may say, that looks like crap, and yeah, it kind of does, but we're gonna fix this, okay? Don't worry about it. So the next thing we're gonna do, now that we have this thing, is we're gonna go back to our original picture, and we're gonna look at the difference. Now, that works pretty good. Okay. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna use the stamp tool. The stamp tool is located right here, and you can access it by clicking S on your keyboard too. And what this thing does is it takes a sample from some area of your image. By clicking Alt on your keyboard, you're gonna get that little symbol that it's like a target. So basically, if you click there, it means that you are going to take the sample from that area, and then when you go to another place, let's say here, and you start clicking, you can see that you're taking the sample from the wall, but you are actually painting with that color in another area. So that's pretty cool because you can actually clone whatever you want inside your picture. So let's start with fixing this part. So I would say that the easiest part to fix here is the floor, right? Or the ground, whatever you want to call it. So we start by clicking Alt. We're gonna select some of this part. And the trick here is not to drag. This is like a brush, but it's not a brush. So please don't click and drag. Don't do this, because by doing this, you're just creating weird patterns that everybody will notice that you did some work in Photoshop, and we really don't want that. So you want to take the sample, and we're gonna go clicking. And remember always, if you right click on the screen while using your brush, you're gonna get the brush menu. You can also look at it up here. Here you have your soft brush and your hard brush. Right now, these two are the ones you're gonna worry about the most. So the difference is that the hard brush creates a really hard edge in between what you're drawing, and the soft brush is like more of a blending tool. So we're gonna go with a soft brush right now. Again, click Alt, take a sample, and we're gonna start clicking little by little in all the areas we want to clone. You can also make this brush larger by clicking the brackets in your keyboard, or by just going to this menu, and on size, you can control here the size of your brush. So maybe that's a little bit too big, so let's try, maybe that looks okay. So let's go with this. It's gonna go clicking and clicking and clicking. Now, please be aware that some parts are hidden in the shadows and some other parts are in the highlights of the image. So we do want to keep that in mind in order to do a better job blending this together, because it wouldn't make sense if I take a sample from this area and I put it up here, right? Like, that doesn't look good, that doesn't look natural. So please make things look the way they are supposed to. Don't mix colors that have not to be mixed. Okay, so we make smaller here, and we're gonna take this part. Okay, that is good for now. Now let's go back. It doesn't look great, but for now it will do the job. We'll fix that, we'll go back to that. Right now I'm just trying to create a difference between like the corrections I'm doing. Now, in order to do this, you need to be really, really close to the area that you're cloning. So you're gonna do that by hitting Command in Mac or Control on PC and plus. And Command minus, you go back, Command plus, you go in. And it's the same, PC, Control plus you go in and control minus you go out. So we're gonna zoom in really far. So now this area is the next one to fix. Now we have this part. We know that this goes through. We cannot really see it on the original picture, but we know it's there, so let's try to do that. So we're gonna again take a sample and we're gonna start drawing this part here. It doesn't have to be perfect, but the more time you spend doing this, of course, it's gonna look better, right? And don't forget to follow your lines. Don't forget that this is like building a puzzle. You have to make it match. Like you cannot put just a random thing there and just pretend that it looks good when it really doesn't. So please be aware of that. Now this doesn't look great, so what we're gonna do now is we're gonna create another cool technique to fill this part. So we're gonna go back to this layer, we're gonna duplicate it again, and we're gonna put it on top. Now, we're gonna create a mask for this layer. Now, I want to go more in depth about what masks are. I don't know if you guys want me to do that. Let me know down in the comments, and next video I can talk about it, because I really don't know if a lot of people are aware of what masks are or not. So if you don't, please let me know and I'll explain more in detail in a future video. So after we duplicated our layer here, so this is the one that we are gonna use now. We're gonna go back to the layer we were working in, right? So we're gonna create a mask for this layer, and just like so. Now this is a white mask, right? So if we paint in the white mask with the black brush, we're gonna be able to see through the next picture. So I really want this part to come back. Like I want to take this piece of the wall or tail, or I don't know how you say in English. If you do, please let me know down in the comments. Sometimes my English sucks, guys. I'm sorry, it's not my first language. So yeah, so that works. That looks okay. So now I'm gonna go back here. Yeah, that looks good. Perfect. Okay, so we're gonna use this part. Now what I'm gonna do, because I really don't like to have 10,000 layers, especially when I'm working in something simple like this, I'm just gonna select this layer, and I'm clicking shift now. I'm gonna select the layer beneath it, and I'm just gonna click Command E or Control E on your PC, and now everything is blended together, right? So this is great. Now the next technique, it's pretty cool. We're gonna go now with our polygonal lasso tool. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna create like a selection of this area, just like this, and it doesn't have to be perfect, but please don't select any other place that it's out of this part. Okay, so now that we have this area selected, we're gonna hit Command J or Control J on PC, and what we did here was duplicate this part only. So now if we go back here to our layer menu, we can see that we have only this part if we turn everything off, right? So now we select this, and with our selection tool, that it's this one, or B, you can move things with this. We're gonna move this thing around just like so. Now you may notice and you may say, Gustavo, this doesn't look good. And you're absolutely right. So let me do this again, because I was thinking about perspective and I should not have. I'm sorry, this is not my fault. It's actually another person's fault. I'm not gonna say names right now, but you know who you are. Okay, so now, yeah, that makes more sense. We're gonna do the same. Hit Command J on your keyboard, Control J on your PC, and we are going to move this thing around. So now look at this. This is great. Now if we duplicate this again, Control J or Command J again, we kind of start building a little path here. Now don't worry, this is not it. We're gonna make it look better. Just go with it. I'm just stacking them for now, just to see how many I would need. Okay, so probably that will do the trick. So now we're gonna go back here. Okay, now I have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 7, 2, 4, 6, 7 different layers here. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to the first one, and I'm gonna create a new mask for this one. And with the black brush again, make sure it's black, because if you see that you are not doing anything, it's either you are not painting with the correct color or you are not painting on your mask layer. Always make sure that you are painting on your mask layer when you are using masks. Okay, so here I'm gonna start just clicking a little bit in between, trying to make it blend. Not too much, that looks good. Now I'm gonna go to my second layer and I'm gonna do the same thing. Now here I went too far, so if I change the color to white, I can bring this back. See, that's the cool thing about masks, is that you really don't need to erase things or to like cut and just get rid of stuff. It's better to use masks, because in this way you can bring stuff back if you mess up, like I'm doing right here. So now that looks good. Let me move this a little bit. Right about there looks good. Okay. So I'm gonna speed the process here. And okay, so now I'm reaching to the last one of them, and I am almost done here. Okay, now that looks pretty good. Now if you go back, now it's starting to look pretty good, right? Okay, so now that we have this part, now the real issue is that you really can't see a pattern here, right? Like we actually can see these lines, and we really don't want that, so we're gonna finish fixing that with the stamp tool. So now that I'm happy with this, I'm just gonna again click here, click all the way here, and Command E to merge them. Now I'm gonna use my stamp tool again. So I'm gonna take a sample from this part, I'm gonna make my brush smaller, and I'm just gonna start brushing again all the way. Now if you ever make a mistake and you don't know how to fix it, just hit Command C on your keyboard, or Command Z, I don't know, wherever you want to call it, depending on where you are, but for me it's Command C on your keyboard, and you can just go back. Now if you want to go back more than one step in Photoshop, you actually need to click Command Alt C. You cannot go back by clicking Command C more than once. So I'm pretty happy with this. Let me just fix the part on the bottom here. Like we have kind of like a shadow here, so we want that. Right. Actually, I don't like this, so I'm gonna get rid of it just right now because I can. Okay, that looks pretty good for now. Now let's just finish here. Yeah, that looks good for me. Okay, so now we're gonna move on with the window. Now this window looks like a mess. You may be thinking, how are you planning to fix this? And well, the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna use content aware again. And the reason why we're doing this, you may ask, why are we doing this again? It's simply because this is a very, very good way to try and fill things that are very difficult. Like this part is super busy, it's full of things that we really cannot even tell what they are. So let's do that again. Shift delete on your keyboard and just click OK. Now this, it didn't do a great job, so I think I was more happy before, so I'm just gonna leave it there. Now for the windows, what I'm going to do actually is I'm gonna use kind of the same technique that we did with the little tile on the bottom. We're gonna take the polygonal tool again, and we're gonna make a selection of this green area. And by the way, this file, I'm gonna put it down in the description so you can download it and play with it if you want. Try to follow me around if you want. So don't worry about it. So we're gonna grab this little green guy here, and we're gonna hit Command J again. So now we duplicate it, and we're gonna move it here. Now, you may say it doesn't align right, and I agree with you. So what we're going to do is we're going to hit Command T or Control T, sorry, on your PC. And by doing that, we get this selection. Now, this is a transform selection. If you go a little bit further from it, you can rotate it. You can make it larger, smaller, whatever you want. Just please, if you want to make it bigger, hold Shift while doing it and do it from the corners, so that way you are not going to destroy that much the pixels. But for now, I am happy with the size, so I'm not gonna mess too much about it. Let me just don't apply this, and let's go back. Control T, and we're just gonna flip it a little bit, right about there, and then we're gonna place it where we want. We're gonna hit Enter, and that looks good, right? So we're gonna do the same thing a bunch of times until we fill all the remaining areas that we want to. Okay, so that's okay. Hit Control J, Command J again, and we're gonna go down here. Bless you, sir. Sorry, I am not alone, by the way. I have amazing people around me. I have to say that. Okay, so yeah, don't worry about this line. We're gonna get rid of it. So just keep cloning these things, and we're gonna keep filling this part. So I know at first it might look a little bit confusing because we can't really see which line is like the actual real one. But you can see if you zoom out just for a second, you can see these lines are perfect. So just follow those. Don't worry about the others. And just keep cloning until we have something cool here. So let's hit Command T now, and we're gonna go with the vertical lines. That looks okay. Now it doesn't match the colors. I'm actually gonna delete that one, and I'm gonna make another selection from one of these guys. Maybe this one here. So I'm gonna select this. Okay, and again, Command J. Oh, we have to go back. Don't forget to go back to your main picture, right? Because we cannot duplicate if we are not in our original picture. And we'll just continue moving things around until we're happy with what we get. Okay, so right there, that's good. Duplicate again. Notice that each time that I duplicate, I create a new layer. And the reason why I'm merging those layers, like I was doing before, it's because I'm doing a lot of duplicating. So I really don't want to have 2,000 layers by the end of this video. So just keep doing this until we have something like this. Okay, not to worry. Maybe just grab these guys again and duplicate them here. Okay, and we're gonna go all the way down. Now the good thing about doing this rather than the stamp tool is that with this we're keeping the proportions right, because sometimes when we are using the stamp tool, one of the main issues is that we are messing with the proportions of things, because I mean, let's face it, not all of us can paint in straight lines, so this is better for doing that. So now I'm happy with that. So I'm gonna come back to my layer menu, I'm gonna select them all, and I'm gonna hit Command E again. Great, awesome. So we are getting there, right? Okay. So the next step, we're gonna go back to the stamp tool, and we're gonna fix this pillar here. So now I really don't know why we have this sign here, so I could try to see what happens if I do the content aware once more. So let's see what, oh, actually that's pretty good. Yeah, I'm gonna go with that. I'm happy with that. Yeah, even if it messed a little bit this part, but I'm okay, I can fix that later, it's easier. So now I'm gonna fix this pillar, and we're gonna do that by doing another selection. This time we're gonna use our rectangular marquee tool. We're gonna start by clicking here, and we're gonna drag, we're gonna make a rectangle, a perfect rectangle in this area. And we're gonna go back to our stamp tool. So when you have a selection inside your picture and you want to paint or something, let's say you have your brush and you want to paint white. So right now, if I start clicking and trying to paint on this area, I'm clicking and nothing happens. You may say, why it doesn't paint? Because you have this selection. So when you have a selection inside, it's the only place where you're gonna be able to paint. So it doesn't really matter how much you move it, it's not gonna go out of that selection. So that's pretty cool actually when you want to be precise in your work. That works pretty amazing. So we could do two things here. We could either select the color from this place and try to recreate this part with a regular brush. But the problem with this is that we are not getting the textures from the wall, right? So let's just go with the stamp tool again. We're gonna take a sample from the outside of the selection, and we're gonna go and paint inside. Now be aware that there is gonna come to a point in which we are not gonna get more sample. Actually, that didn't happen, so that's cool. Okay, so let's scratch that. And yeah, so if you see, I'm sampling and I'm painting, and it doesn't really matter if I go out. Yeah, that looks great. Now, when you are done, you're just gonna hit Command D on your keyboard to deselect. Now I know here it doesn't look great, but don't worry, again, we will fix that. Right now we're just making a rough correction of the details. So now to fix this part, we're gonna hit our stamp tool again, we're gonna sample this part. We're just gonna go click, 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 click. And this is all about clicks, little happy clicks. Okay, so now that we have this, I'm gonna finish this part, and that looks pretty good. Okay, that looks perfect. Now, as you can see, guys, what I'm doing here is just blending, like trying to blend all these parts together. Like I said before, like this is not about going fast. Yeah, I know today people want and likes to do things pretty quick, but I mean, again, if you want cool results, you're gonna have to spend some time on it, right? So there's no such thing as fast and easy. Okay, so now let's go back to this part, because I really screwed this part a little bit, but don't worry, we can fix it. And see, what I'm doing is just taking samples and clicking and so on to make it blend. Now the problem with doing this is that we get very hard edges, but that's okay. We can just go back to our stamp tool and make it look better. There we go. Okay, and we're gonna do the same thing with this part. We're gonna go down. Now, if you're wondering how do I move my screen, it's by hitting your space bar on your keyboard. Just click and hold, and while doing it you will get this little hand and you just move the screen around, so you can move around your picture pretty quickly. So I'm pretty much done with this column here. Just trying to get the most detail, the most amount of detail that I can. Actually, I'm just screwing that up. Okay, now let me go back. Sorry, we all make mistakes. We are not perfect. Okay, so far it's looking pretty good. Now again, and I'm gonna repeat myself. I like to repeat myself, and I hope you don't have a problem with that. And if you do, sorry, and I don't care. You can go and watch another YouTube channel. Please, please, please be aware. Like, this is not easy. This is not simple. So if you want good results, you have to spend some good time doing it, okay? Don't expect great results if you're just gonna spend 5 minutes doing this thing, because honestly, you're not gonna get it. Like, if you're expecting to using a software like Photoshop and be a master of Photoshop in 5 minutes, you're not gonna do it. So here what I'm doing is I'm gonna just duplicate this thing again, and I'm gonna move it around because I want to bring back the parts that I accidentally erased. That looks good. Down here looks good. Okay, this looks good too. And same thing, okay? Command J or Control J on your keyboard. Make sure you are on your layer here, and let's just move around. Yeah, that looks pretty good to me. Let's do this one again. Let's put it up here. Okay. Okay, so now if we zoom back, it's looking pretty good for now. Okay, now the problem is the windows, right? We have a lot of things on the windows that we really don't want to see, so we're gonna start fixing these things. So now one of the ways we can fix it is just make a rectangular selection right here, okay? And we're gonna use the stamp tool again. This time, because this part is all black, we're just gonna go black with it. Like, we're gonna start taking samples of the black part and erasing things. It really doesn't matter how perfect this part is, because it's all in darkness. Like, it's inside of the store. We really don't see what's inside. We really don't want to see what's inside. Just don't make it complete dark on the top, kind of like blending. And if we hit Command D on the keyboard, we zoom back, it's totally fine. Like, we cannot see inside, but that's okay. We're gonna do the same thing with the two windows next to this. So we're gonna take a sample here. Like, don't worry about the stuff that you really don't wanna see, or like, no one is, like, the person that you show this picture to, they're not gonna be looking at the inside of the store unless they are crazy people with compulsive buying issues. I don't know, Christian is like that. If you're wondering who Christian is, you'll know. At a proper time, he's giving me a look right now. But anyway, so here, now this part we cannot paint black, right? So let's just hit the stamp tool again. Let's take a sample and just start painting white wall here, little by little. Oh, by the way, if you want, so let me explain, while I'm doing this, let me explain why am I doing these tutorials. Now, these tutorials are for a social media marketing class that we have. We have to create something like social content, whatever we want. Like, and honestly, I hate social media. I think that social media is crap. But I have to do it because I want to get an A. Probably my teacher is laughing at this right now. I don't care. Hey, Suzanne. So we're doing this to create an engagement with an audience. And I'm doing a YouTube channel and tutorials of Photoshop because that's what I do best at my school right now. Yeah, you may say, Gus, your work sucks, but I don't care. And my friend Christian here, he's like a fake Italian guy. He's gonna start doing a podcast, so I will leave a link to in the description to his podcast, so you can laugh a little bit when you're bored or whatever. You will see how much fun there is. I will leave also some other links to other other students that are taking the course with me, and their content. Some of them are pretty good. Like there's this guy, he's making like videos about basic filming techniques. That one's pretty good. I really like it, and I will leave the link to his Instagram account where you could see the small videos. And if you can like follow him, that would be amazing. And also if you can listen to Crispy's podcast, that would be great too. And okay, so you're seeing that I'm trying to fix this my units using the stamp tool little by little. I'm just creating shapes, doing like geometrical kind of shadows and highlights here. And that's pretty much it. Like you don't really need to worry about if you see something very specific like a shirt or a backpack or something. You don't have to recreate that backpack. Like the thing is just trying to cheat your brain, right? Like it doesn't have to look great, it doesn't have to be a masterpiece, but it has to be good enough that if your brain sees it, it won't notice the difference right away. Maybe if you stare at it for 2 hours you will, but if you don't, like it really won't. Like right now, if we go back, like that looks pretty darn good. So yeah, I'm happy with that. Not bad. Yep, I'm pretty happy with that. So that's how you remove people from your pictures in Photoshop. Now, I chose this picture because it's pretty complicated. Like the thing we removed here, let me just finish by selecting all these layers together and merge them. And if you see the difference here, like you can see it's a huge difference. You can see it before and after. Now here I did a stroke, I don't know what. Okay, yeah, my bad. Now you can see that it's a huge difference between two pictures, and you can actually see that if you see the picture from afar, you cannot say that you took a person out of that spot. So I hope this video was of any use for you guys. I hope you like it. If you did, please subscribe. I need to get 100 subscribers to get an A in my class, so please do. Pretty please. And please, if you have any other questions, if you want to learn how to use any other tools in Photoshop, please leave those comments down in the comment section. That didn't sound right. I don't care. Okay. Anyway, just leave the comments. Ask me what you want. Please let me know. I will try to do as much as I can with the little time that I have. But if you guys ask me more and more, I'll probably end up doing more videos like this. I hope this was helpful for you guys, and see you next time. Bye-bye.